بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Glimpses of Arabic Rhetoric 1. Styles of Emphasis. لمسات بيانية. أولا أساليب التوكيد. So in the previous lesson, we mentioned that we're going to look at a few glimpses of three different areas. This now is the first area. So let's start with an example. Let's say you have a friend and his name is Zaid, and Zaid comes to class, he studies, and he passed. At the end of the class, he passed the final test. So what do you say to your other friends? You tell them Zaidun najihun. This is normal speech, there is no emphasis. Zaidun najihun. Zaid has passed. And you say that because your audience already believes you. There's no reason for your audience or whoever you're talking to doubt your information. You're communicating information, you're telling them this is news. Zaid has passed. They're like, okay, good. However, let's say that Zaid was not really a good student and there was some doubts in the minds of people, of your friends, that he passed. Yet he passed the class. So if you tell your friends Zaydun Najihun while they have a doubt in their minds, do you think they will believe you? No, they will not believe you easily. So you have to change this expression because the audience, right, have a doubt. You have to change this expression so that you communicate to them that no, no, seriously, I really mean it. He did pass. So what do you say? You use tawkeed. You use one letter of tawkeed, which is the lam. And this is called light tawkeed. So you say to them, Lazaydun najihun. Lazaydun najihun. Notice the lam in the beginning. That lam, when it attaches itself to the subject, al-mubtada, is called lamut tawkeed. If your audience doubts what you're saying is true, you add this lam as shown. The lam is a light particle of tawkeed. You don't have to do heavy tawkeed because your audience have a small doubt, a little bit of a doubt. They're not going to call you a liar. So when you say Zaydun Najihun, they're like, I doubt it. But when you say La Zaydun Najihun, they'll take you more seriously because you're trying to tell them, hey, I really mean it. He passed. But let's say that the doubt that they have is stronger because Zaid missed a lot of classes and he was, there's a 50 for 50 chance that he was going to fail the class, but you're telling me he passed the class. So what do you do at that point? At that point, you use a heavier particle of tawqid, which is inna. Inna is heavier, stronger in tawqid than lam. So you say inna zaydan najihun. Inna. When you hear the sound inna, right? It feels like there's something going on, and you hear this in the Quran. Inna Allah, right? Inna alladhina, right? You hear inna alladhina kafaru, inna alladhina amanu, right? Inna. This inna is composed of three letters, Hamza, Noon, Noon. The two noons are written under one shadda as one noon. And so if your audience has stronger doubts, then you use the tawqid particle inna, which is stronger than lam. There's no perfect translation for inna, but it's usually translated as verily, surely, definitely, indeed, without a doubt. But these are just rough translations. In reality, inna is not translatable. It's just tawqid. And notice how the word Zaydun became Zaydun, it became Zaydan. That's grammar, that's syntax, right? Inna caused the word Zayd to change into Zaydan for grammatical reasons. This is mansub, and we study that in grammar. So look at now what happens is, let's say Zaid never shows up to the class, never buys the book, never studies, never asks the questions, yet he still somehow, miraculously, unexpectedly passed the class. So you tell your friends Zaydun Najihun, you think they'll believe you? Of course not. You tell them La Zaydun Najihun, they'll still not believe you. You tell them Inna Zaydan Najihun, they're still not. You need to bring in strong tawkeed. So you say Inna Zaydan Lanajihun, double tawkeed here. You bring in double tawkeed so that they will take you more seriously, right? Here, no tawkeed. Here, one light particle. Here, one heavy particle. Here, double tawkeed. You bring in inna and lam, but this time the lam is attached to the khabar, to the predicate, not to the subject, because the subject already has inna before it. So you say, inna zaydan lanajihun. So you bring in two particles of tawqid. Now let's look at some verses of the Quran where tawqid is used differently, even though the main idea is same. That's because of the context and the audience. So you see, I'm going to present to you some sentences that are similar sounding, similar words, basic idea is same in the Quran. You have the sentence here, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم الله Ghafurur Rahim, you've got the subject of the sentence, al-mubtada, the word Allah. Then you've got two predicates, two khabar. Khabar awwal, ghafurun. Khabar thanin is Rahim, two khabars. No tawqid here, maybe because the context does not allow it, maybe because the context does not require. If you look at Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 218, you look at some verses before, some verses after, you look at the overall context of the surah, you will see that there's no need for tawqid here, and that's why Allah didn't put a tawqid particle here. Here you see قالوا ليوسف وأخوه أحب إلى أبينا منا. Surely Yusuf and his brother are more beloved to our father than us. These were his brothers, they were jealous, and you know the story of Yusuf alayhi salam. I'm just quoting this as an example where you can see the lam, light tawqid, lam, attached to al-mubtada, the subject. Here Inna Allah Ghafurur Rahim. Here Allah is saying Inna Allah Ghafurur Rahim. Whereas here Allah is saying Allahu Ghafurur Rahim. Both are in Surah Al-Baqarah. So why did he use in verse 218? Why did he use no tawqid here? But in verse 199, there is tawqid. Well, to answer the question, you have to look at the overall context. Here, again, the same basic idea, yet Allah has used double tawqid. Inna Allah la Ghafurur Rahim. Double tawqid. You got the lam and you got the inna. And those of you who have studied Arabic grammar, you know this lam is called lamul ibtida, tawqid. And when it slips over to the khabar, it's called lamul muzahlaqa, the lam that slipped. And they both are for tawqid. So this is just a taste of tawqid. This is just the tip of the iceberg. There are more than 24 additional ways of doing tawqid in the Arabic language. All languages have some kind of tawqid, but Arabic, my God, it gives you an entire book that you can write on just tawqid. It's so vast, it's an ocean. And like I said before, in the Quranic Linguistics Level 4 textbook, we go deep into tawqid. But before you get there, you have to study your sarf and nahu. And throughout the sarf and nahu, I show you many ways to do tawqid. But when we get to al-balagha, we repackage, integrate all of those ways of tawqid that you learned in sarf and nahu. Plus, I give you more. And you end up dozens, couple dozen ways that I've found to date. There might be even more out there in the Arabic language, but that's what I've been able to find. So that was just a quick glimpse. This is just a glimpse, it's tip of the iceberg of what tawqid is and how it works. Inshallah, in the next video lesson, we will look at another glimpse, which is al-haqiqatu wal-majaz. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil mursaleen. Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een.